Hey, we are in Exodus chapter 37 and 38. So let's go ahead and get into that. Still talking about the tent and what God wants them to do. In chapter 37, Bezalel built a chest of acacia wood, 45 inches long, 27 inches wide, and 27 inches high. He covered it inside and out with pure gold and put a gold edging around the top. He made 4 gold rings and fastened one of them to each of the 4 legs of the chest. And then he made 2 poles of acacia wood, covered them with gold, and put them through the rings so the chest would be carried by pulls. The entire lid of the chest, which was also covered with pure gold, was the place of mercy. On each of the 2 ends of the chest, he made a winged creature of hammered gold. They faced each other, and their wings covered the place of mercy. Bezalel built a table of acacia wood, 36 inches long, 18 inches wide, 27 inches high. He covered it with pure gold and put a gold edging around it with a border 3 inches wide. He made 4 gold rings and attached one to each leg of the legs near the edging, and the poles for carrying the table were placed through these rings and were made of acacia wood covered with gold. Everything that was to be set on the table was made of pure gold: the bowls, plates, jars, and cups for wine offerings. Bezalel made a lampstand of pure gold. The whole lampstand, covering, including its decorative flowers, was made from a single piece of hammered gold, with 3 branches on each of its 2 sides. There were 3 decorative almond blossoms on each branch and 4 on the stem. There was also a blossom where each pair of branches came out from the stem. The lampstand, including its branches and decorative flowers, was made from a single piece of hammered pure gold. The lamp and its equipment, including the tongs and trays, were made out of 75 pounds of pure gold. For burning incense, Bezalel made an altar of acacia wood. It was 18 inches square and 36 inches high, with each of its 4 corners sticking up like a horn of a bull. He covered it with pure gold and put a gold edging around it. Then below the edging on opposite sides, he attached 2 gold rings through which he put the poles for the carrying of the altar. These poles were made of acacia wood and covered with gold. Bezalel mixed the oil for dedication and the sweet-smelling spices for the incense. So I want to stop there for a second, and I want to show you a little bit of the layout of this tent that we're talking about, just to kind of put it in reference here. So here are the angels. That we're talking about, the cherubim. You can't see that color very good, can you? Let's go with red right there. And the lampstand, which the Jewish people now call the menorah, is still used. The altar with incense. And now notice, you're not supposed to touch anything. So here are these poles that they keep talking about to be able to carry everything. And so they would do the sacrifices here, and here is the holy place, and here is the Holy of Holies, which you could only enter once a year. The high priest could, and we'll talk about that in the future, especially when the temple finally does get built. But you had these curtains right here that nobody was allowed to enter. It kind of kept a barrier between places, and this was the Holy of Holies where God would go. So there's some things there just to kind of give us a little bit of a perspective on what has taken place. Let's go back and finish chapter 38. Bezalel built an altar of acacia wood for offering sacrifices. It was 7.5 feet square and 4.5 feet high, and each of its 4 corners sticking up like the horn of a bull, and it was completely covered with bronze. The equipment for the altar was also made of bronze: the pans for the hot ashes, the shovels, the meat forks, and the fire pans. Midway up the altar, he built a ledge around it and covered the bottom half of the altar with a decorative bronze grating. Then he attached a bronze ring beneath the ledge of the four corners to put the poles through. He covered 2 acacia woods with bronze and put them through the rings for carrying the altar, which was shaped like an open box. Bezalel made a large bowl and a stand out of bronze from the mirrors of the women who helped at the entrance to the sacred tent. Around the sacred tent, Bezalel built a courtyard 150 feet long on the south and north and 75 feet wide on the east and west, and he used the 20 bronze posts on bronze stands for the south and north and 10 for the west. Then he hung a curtain of fine linen on the posts along with each of these 3 sides by using silver hooks and rods. He placed 3 bronze posts on each side of the entrance and at the east and hung a curtain 7.5 feet wide on each set of posts. For the entrance to the courtyard, Bezalel made a curtain 10 yards long, which he hung on 4 bronze posts that were set on bronze stands. This curtain was the same height as the one for the rest of the courtyard and was made of fine linen, embroidered and woven by blue, purple, and red wool. He hung the curtain on the 4 posts using silver hooks and rods. The pegs of the tent for the curtain around the tent were made of bronze. Bezalel had worked closely with Aholiab, who was an expert at designing and engraving and embroidering blue, purple, and red wool. The 2 of them completed the work that the Lord had commanded. Moses made Aaron's son, Ithamar, responsible for keeping record of the metals used for the sacred tent. According to the official weights, the amount of gold given was 2,209 pounds. The silver that was collected when the people were counted came to 7,550 pounds. Everyone who was counted paid the required amount, and there was a total of 603,550 men who were 20 years old or older. So that's just the men. That's not counting children. That's not counting women. 75 pounds of silver were used to make each one of the 100 stands for the sacred tent and the curtain. The remaining 50 pounds of silver were used for the hooks and rods and for covering the tops of the posts. 5,300 pounds of bronze were given, and it was used to make the stands for the entrance to the tent, the altar and its grating, and the equipment for the altar, the stands for the posts that surrounded the courtyard, including those at the entrance to the courtyard, and the pegs for the tent and the courtyard. So imagine they are going to have to carry that everywhere they go. For right now, they don't know this, but they're going to be doing this for 40 years, carrying this tent, setting it up, worshiping, tearing it back down again. And it is going to be a huge undertaking that God has put together, that he's called the Israelites to do. One thing that we need to think about, though, is that all of the people, while they were so imperfect, it was obvious that they were dedicated to God. They had given up all of their possessions for this to take place. So the question comes for us, and it will come especially in the New Testament, is what do you give to God? Because we realize that we have nothing without God. And so hopefully a part of your life is giving back to God, whether that's your time, whether that's your money, whether that's stuff that you donate, whatever the case may be. God's people are giving people, and that's what we have to be. Hope you have a great day.